I feel we should have a space for one more question. Is the mic close to this gentleman? Let me give you my mic just to save time.
Thank you. I've got a multifaceted question. Or what I'm going to do basically is ask it to two of you. To the gentleman from the central bank, you've noticed that a lot of the questions have been targeted at you. And I don't think it's deliberate, but there's something to say about what's currently happening in the mobile money space, in the digital space, and how Bank of Ghana and policy seeks to regulate it. You mentioned yourself that you're aware of certain companies that have gone and reinvented themselves as Nigerian companies. Now, if your policy to register or regulate these up-and-coming companies were as soft or accessible as you make out, why do you think they're going to Nigeria? That's the first question, because I think that has been prohibitive, and I have spoken to a few companies myself that are seeking to go to Nigeria to go and register. So I'd like you to kind of speak to that. And then secondly, to the gentleman from Fidelity Bank, I'm wondering how your organization is getting involved in this digital space and what you guys are looking to do. It'll be interesting to hear your opinion on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me quickly clarify something. Great. So I think that entity, for instance, I gave an example of, is licensed here in Ghana. They're running well, they're doing okay, they're doing well. I think we have to recognize certain realities. And this, by the way, is not unusual. I know of an entity that I've known for years. We all know where they started from. Now, recently I was reading about them and they rebranded as a company that was set up from London. That's fine. Ultimately, business is tough out there, and do what you need to do to get your investments. We have no qualms against that. I think it's a matter of how well are you operating here, how well structured are you, and those are the things we're keeping an eye on. Now, there are some entities certainly who, from an investment standpoint, who will look at a market like Nigeria, will look at a market like South Africa, will look at a market like Egypt. What is their motivation? Addressable market. Is the size. I think we are well regulated as a sector, but we also have to acknowledge the fact that ultimately size of market plays a certain role in an investor's motivation, because that's what you're seeing. What is the growth potential for my investment? And that's why you see that in spite of whatever challenges may be in several other markets, you will see investors still going in. So that's the first thing. You also have to acknowledge something. And I think for us, we're a country of 30 million people. We're doing an incredible job trying to digitize as much as possible, both public and private sector, but we also recognize the need to expand, the need to grow. Our fintechs need to be able to scale beyond the borders of Ghana. And so you may have seen in news, for instance, that some fintechs in Ghana have acquired other fintechs in other countries, or fintechs in Ghana have gone to other markets and are competing there. It fills me with pride when I go to certain countries and I see Ghanaian fintechs operating there. Sometimes the staff from Ghana have somehow moved there and are heading operations there. So this is not unusual. And what we are doing, even within that perspective, from that perspective, is that how we define the operating environment here, the requirements and the standards we hold our fintechs to, carefully balancing risk and the ability to grow, is allowing them to be viewed very positively in the markets they go into, so they are not struggling as much entering there. We're also coordinating with our fellow central banks. It's a standard operating reality that we collaborate and share peer learnings. Ghana happened to have been one of the first markets with the forward-thinking mobile money regulation, for instance. So there are some countries, if I go there right now and I pick their mobile money laws, I can quickly recognize some of the things that are in there. It takes its roots from here. What that does is the companies that are regulated here, when they go there, they already have a head start in terms of compliance. They have a head start in terms of meeting the requirements. So what we are trying to do is help build companies that are built to last, help nurture innovation that can scale not just within the continent, but globally. And for that, I think it's a mission that we're confident in what we're doing, we're comfortable with it, and we're also open-minded for feedback, and we'll continue to improve and enhance our regulatory environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oppong, for your multifaceted answer.
Yes, thank you for that question. We do have a digital innovation unit, which is under the transformation department. We've already had some initial conversations with Kwame and team. We have some use cases we want to test in a sandbox that Kwame has got. And I think I'm going to get Kwame to set up a thematic sandbox, which actually focuses on the ECD. Because then we can play in that space, test out product, test out use cases, make sure that we're ready for the market. Now, from a Fidelity standpoint, the partnership with the regulator is going to be key. The partnership with FinTech is well going to be key. And we see technology as a key thing to drive us into the next phase. And we believe engaging with the regulator early to understand how ECD is going to play is going to be very key for us. So to answer your question, we're already in talks with the Bank of Ghana regulatory team. We're engaging with them actively to look at some use cases we can put into the sandbox to play with. I don't know, Kwame, no pressure. Is the sandbox ready?
The sandbox is actually ready. It's operating now. We initially launched a pilot, so we can also internally, initially the idea was to help with our fintechs, but it has to be broader than that. It's for the whole financial sector. So there are certain learnings you pick from that, and then you enhance it, the process. And we've learned a lot, to be honest, from what we envisage. But the ECD actually is currently, there's a sandbox for that. Unfortunately, because it's a control pilot and there will be some announcements relating to some banks participating, etc. But we have a sandbox in place that would allow some testing to go on. And eventually, before we actually make a decision to scale ECD as a permanent addition to the notes and coins, we will also make that available. But our existing sandbox can actually also run CBDC. So we have both going for us.
Impactful answers right there. Mr. Tandon, Mr. Oppong, Reverend Owusu-Ansah, Mr. Akyeampong, Mr. Banahene, Mr. Akoto, thank you very much. It's been my honor to serve as your moderator for this panel. Thank you to the very eager audience who's been following us since this began. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the organizers of this Business and Financial Times and our sponsors. With this, I say good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the amazing Maxwell Ampong. Please join your panelists for a group photograph. And I believe they've done justice to the topic.